Boom, we are live Friday evening, 12 minutes late. I like mentioning it every time, getting better every time, guys. Hope everybody's well. Everyone had a great week, I hope. In addition, mate, we have a large one tonight. This is something we have been planning since, I want to say, like August or something crazy like that. It's been a while, but we made it happen. We have a whole team here. I'm super excited for this one. So, with that in mind, I am just going to get right into it. So this is 45. All right. What's good, y'all? This is C-Certified Brewhead, and welcome to episode 45 of Beer and Other Shit, the podcast, Adjunct Series, Quarantine Edition. This evening, we have a special one. These guys have been around for a few years now. Their first beer was a huge hit here in the scene in Quebec. So much so, I had friends in like Detroit asking me to get them this beer when it came out. Over the last year, they've dropped a whole lineup of beers, and these guys have gone over and above this evening. We have the whole team from Amiral with us tonight. Boys, welcome. There we go. Yay.
Yes, thank you, Craig.
Such a pleasure. Thank you all for hanging out. You guys are coming to us live from the brewery in... where is the brewery again?
We are in Saint-Hyacinthe right now, Craig. Okay. And we have Victor with us, which is our master brewer. And Victor, where are we exactly in your brewery right now?
So we wanted to be able to make this interesting for everybody. And so we decided to come to the brewery. We're breaking curfew and we're going a little bit underground. Each of us are in a different part of the brewery in order to respect social distancing. So Val is in the bright beer section of the brewery. He's got the tanks behind him.
Love it.
And we got to keep an eye on him because those tanks are full.
Not for long.
Yeah. JF, he's in the brew house. You can see behind him, he's got the brew kettle and the mash tun. And myself, I'm in the fermentation room with tanks of, I got a tank here of Pilsner and a tank of lager on the other side.
Amazing. It looks great. Yeah. It's cool because I guess, a lot of us don't get to see the back of breweries anymore like we used to. So this is cool. It looks fantastic. So I appreciate all you guys taking the time tonight. Do you want first things? Actually, you know what? Tell everybody who you are and what you do, and then we'll get into this first beer and we'll get it rolling from there. Maybe we'll start to my right here with Valérian. Excuse me.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Go for it.
You're excused. You will have to excuse my English. It's not my first language, as you hear.
It is no problem, my friend.
We'll try. My English will be really good after the rum ale, I promise.
Really?
So I'm the brand manager, the product manager behind this brewery, behind all the beer we make here, and it starts with the Gin Ale, and after that we have good fun with Victor and make a lot of beer. That's my role. I like to draw. I like to make all the brand, all the packaging, and then that's me.
Okay, so you design all the art, all the label art.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's definitely talk about that then. JF, tell us what you do, my man.
Yep. So I'm the general manager, one of the founder. So we were at the beginning 4 of us. As of today, it has evolved. Some new members just joined, but I'm one of the 4 original founders of the brewery. And as of now, I'm the general manager of the company.
Amazing. I love it. And Victor.
So I'm their brewmaster. I'm the one that takes their inspirations, their ideas for liquid, for the beers, the brands, what's going to happen. And I do my best to translate this into something drinkable and delicious.
I love it. This is great because we have all 3 different perspectives tonight. So look, guys, I imagine you are too. I'm thirsty. I think we should get into this bad boy. So we're starting with the OG, the Gin Ale. When did this one originally drop? Was it 2017, 16?
Yep.
2016. Yep. Yeah, you're right.
16. Okay. Now,
in fact,
yeah, go for it. Continue.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So that is the beginning of the company. In fact, and I will let Valérian talk to you a bit about what he has in his mind. But to be honest, Amiral all started with the gin ale, and it was something in Val's head where he'll tell you a bit more. But as of today, it all starts with gin ale, and these two words were the essence of where Amiral is today. So maybe Valérian, you just want to talk a bit more about this great idea you had in your mind and the dream you had in your mind.
Okay. First of all, I'm really a fan of gin, a fan of beer, of course. But in our own pub, le Pourvoyeur, Marché Jean Talon.
Cheers, guys.
Pleasure.
I didn't wait nobody for drinks.
Don't worry about it.
I'm polite, but it's very democratic for me to be. You're thirsty, you drink.
I love it.
There's no,
I respect
no question about that. You want another one? I give you another one.
I like it.
So I'm in the studio bar from a long time. I was DJ at the age of 19, 18 years old, and now I'm 47. And in 2010, I opened a pub, and I found a way to distinguish ourselves and specialize in gin. And in 2016, I was drinking a gin and a shot and a glass of beer, and I had the brightest idea to put my gin in the beer and taste it, and said, "It's very good. How come there's no gin ale?"
Right.
There is. So I searched on the web. It was like, there's Scotch ale, but there's no gin ale. How come? Nobody, nothing. Entire web, I found just kind of small brewery that made juniper berries beer and the exploration and the experimentation like that. Why don't you start something? So I have a call with. I also own at that time a grocery. And I sell some microbrew beer, and I make good friends with Patrick Cool, who was my my representative for micro beer and supply me. And I gave us this idea. It was stunning. He said, "This is really a good idea. So let's make it." So we make a gin ale, but we don't put gin in the beer.
Right.
We go we're trouble in that. We try to put the ingredient that we use in the dry gin. So we start with juniper berries and all 9 aromas, botanicals that we put in the gin ale. So it tastes like a gin. It's made with the same thing as a gin.
I love it. I love it. What is the actual base beer for the ale? What style is or is it not even to a style?
We start from the basis with a strong ale.
With a strong ale.
And
Okay.
it's a strong ale, the British ale with not too hoppy, but more malt and more that complementary to the spicy and the all the notes that are and the botanicals used in gin.
Okay, that makes sense. I was curious. It's 6.9%, and I was like, I couldn't pick the actual style that it might have been. So that's super interesting. We lost JF. I guess we'll be back in a sec.
But the idea behind this is to start a new style.
Right, a whole new thing that's not BJCP necessarily, and
No, exactly.
okay, no problem. Yeah, go.
I was going to add that I think in these series of beers where we're looking at botanicals, one of the ideas is not to put too much hops. The accent of these beers aren't the hops; it's the botanicals. We're looking at the cloves, the nutmeg, the orange and lemon rind flavors.
Gotcha.
So hop-wise, it's not in your typical IPA or ale style. As Val was alluding, these are new styles of beer. And so for right now, the hops, they're hops. We're using, I think, Chinook.
And
But
Hallertauer.
not a lot.
Gotcha.
And Hallertauer.
Yes.
And not much bitterness and not much hops in the finish.
Gotcha. And that's exactly what I'm getting. It's absolutely right. Like, it's very gin forward. We just have a couple quick comments. Tiffany is saying, "Love that gin ale, so good. Hell yeah."
Yes.
Jan Carl says, "Great beer, guys. Congrats. Love it."
Thank you, Jan.
And
Thank you,
Natasha.
Jan.
Yes, Natasha. The gin ale has my heart. I love it. I love it. Shouts to Natasha.
Yes.
Lovely.
And
Okay. Go on, man. Yeah.
Yeah, just to finish with the gin ale, it's the opposite of an IPA. You got to try finish to make a rappel with the dry gin. You don't have a long aftertaste. You notice it. So it's the opposite of a New England or especially a West Coast IPA.
Definitely. I'm definitely getting that dryness. No, it's a class. I haven't actually had this for a while, so it's nice to revisit it. It's just such an interesting.
There's a lot of people that tell us that they love beer after tasting or gin ale. Before the gin ale and all of the this degustation and tryout made in stores or at events, all the people say, "Oh, I don't like beer." Oh, try this one. It's very different. And you tell me after if you like it. And 9 times on 10, they say, "I like it." You surprise me.
That's awesome. I love that. Helene Brunette just says, "Love that beer. So well made." She is right. I love it. I love it. So now we have the beer. That's great. So let's get into your beer histories, how you guys personally got into beer. And once we finish the three of you guys, let's talk about, I guess we already got a bit of the introduction on how the brewery came about, but I imagine there's probably a little more to it. Whoever wants to start can go for it.
I think the best story you could get is to hear Victor. If you want to really have a big, great story, Victor, you need to tell your story.
Okay, let's go.
Thanks. Thank you, Jeff, for the introduction. Yeah. So where do we start? I've always been into beer. I come from a beer family. Grandfather worked at Molson's for 35 years.
Wow.
There was always beer in our house, and at some point, my father and my grandfather would go to the brewery to get their employee allotment. And I've got 2 brothers, and at some point we were drinking the beer, and my father sat us down at the end of the summer that year, and he says, "Listen, I'm not buying beer anymore because you guys are drinking it." And so our supply of beer got cut off, and then I started making beer. This is back in 1987. And since then, I never stopped making beer. I did an undergrad in food microbiology at McGill University, and then a postgrad in brewing and distilling science at Heriot-Watt University in Scotland.
Nice.
I was employed by Labatt Brewing Company for 5 years, and then I went to consulting, and then I started brewing here in St. Hyacinthe.
Okay. And
that's my history in a nutshell.
I love that. The brewery that you guys are at now, is it the Amiral Brewery, or it's a facility that you just brew from for now?
It's Amiral is brewed in the St. Luc Brewing Company, and I own and operate the St. Luc Brewing Company.
Gotcha. Okay. Do you have St. Luc? I apologize if I'm not familiar. Maybe I'm forgetting, but is there specific beers that you guys make yourselves for your own brands?
We have 2 beers in our brand, but we're not. We're more of a co-packer. So
Gotcha.
we're brewing for and Amiral is probably our occupies probably about 60% of my volume.
Amazing.
Of the volume here. Yeah.
That's very, very cool. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, man. Who would like to go next? Val, JF?
Val, maybe you want to go?
Yes, like I said before, my background is bar, like as a DJ first, and then as bar owner. I own a grocery, and that's all. I get more into the beer business and all the microbrewery because I opened La Pourvoirie. There was a Gentle Market just near my Le Pourvoyeur, and I met a lot of brewers, and of course, when I was working bar and own bar, I was selling beer and selling a lot of gin from all over the planet. So I'm very interested tasting everything, and I love it. So with the gin ale, it make me step in the business and make beer and know I have to learn very fast, and it challenged me, and I like it because it's very a bubbly environment. It's evolved fast, and it gives you the opportunity to create anything from scratch, and then you start with something, and then you evolve on the other thing, and you just match a good taste. And when you have Victor with you, it's good.
Makes it even easier. I love
yeah.
I love the bar. The Pourvay is such a cool place. Like you guys have amazing food, and it was the first place that I experienced this where you have this ridiculous gin menu, and then you even can choose the type of tonic, and they serve you the tonic separate to the gin. And it was like it kind of blew my mind because I'd never seen that before. I'm like, of course, like why wouldn't you want? Maybe you wanted because the gin is such an interesting product, and you've got so many. Wouldn't you want to try the gin by itself? Maybe have a few sips. You're like, all right, let me put a dash of tonic, and then you can adjust it to exactly how you like it. And that was the first time I'd ever seen that, and I was so impressed. It was such a good time. I really, really like the place, man.
Oh, there's so very good gin now, and you have to taste it first. Just a little bit of ice or just a drop of water just to low down the alcohol, because some gin have 53 or 47 alcohol proof. It's very strong and mild, but there's a lot of ingredients. And, gin is very open-minded because the only thing is you have to have juniper berries, and the rest you can make what you want with it. So that's very. So I always, from the beginning, suggest to people to taste it first, and then to add the chaser of tonic, the amount they want. So everybody's different. Everybody have a taste, and you want more sweet, more strong, more less. But there's a lot of work behind the product, so you want to taste it raw.
Yeah, exactly.
Philosophy.
It's so cool. It needs to be more common.
And it's very cool because I have gin from South Africa, Japan, it's from all over the world. And when I bring it to Amiral, working with Victor, it's very, very instructive because he's got a good knowledge and he's a good culture. He's came from Lithuania. All of his parents from Lithuania, Victor, and he's got when we drink beer here at the brewery, there's always good pickles. There's always good sausage from Polish or East Europe. It's the perfect pairing with beer, and beer is made to unite people. And what's better than a drink and food? So we talk
much.
and we have a.
You have a good time. I love it. No, that's amazing, man. Thank you for that. A couple quick comments before we get to you, JF. Someone says, Frederick Lorrain says, so surprising when you have your first sip and then you have another one and you just love it. The gin ale he's referring to. Tiff is saying, love that gin pub. Salmon tartar. Yes, that was the one.
Oh,
so many great gins.
We use the salmon with gin. So.
Which one, sorry?
In the salmon tartar, we use the gin. So.
Right. So give it a bit more of a little herbal thing.
We use a famous recipe of a gravlax.
Okay. All right. That explains it. Triangle Gaming is saying Rumal is the ultimate. Is that a gin?
No, it's the less.
Rum ale. Rum ale. My bad.
The last beer, rum ale. That's our last beer. Yeah.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Spoilers alert.
Sorry, Victor, go for it, man.
Not to get off topic, but what I really appreciate about what's happening with the gin these days is sort of following a little bit of the same path that microbreweries have taken in the last 20 years. Historically, we've been exposed. We've only had access to 2 or 3 gins available at the SAQ, usually from big multinational companies. I don't want to name them, but you can count them on your hands. And for the longest time, this is what we've been exposed to. This is what we've had a choice between 1 out of 5. Now with all the new gins that are coming out, it's like an explosion of flavor, an explosion of inspirations. It's fantastic. It's fantastic to go and try new gins and not have to cut them with tonic. not have to cut it with something else, just to have it, as Val was suggesting, on ice. Really a great time to be around if you're a gin, if you appreciate gin.
Could not agree more.
Yeah.
Specifically in
Yeah.
Quebec. Quebec gin, we found is just like top tier. It's so amazing. I don't. Also, just while we're talking about it, I don't know if you want to mention any brands, but do you guys have any favorite local brands that if people are looking to get into gin that you would recommend that they try? Any for all three of you guys?
There's too many. It's like microbrewery in Quebec.
Yeah.
There's too many good products.
Yeah.
Quebec people like to do best things. We put a lot of effort to make good things. We are very a good public, but it has to be good. You know that the SAQ is following by all the buyers in the world. When the SAQ is buying something in the Quebec, if it works here, it will work all over the planet. So we're kind of a screen test for everybody.
Amazing. I didn't know that, and that makes a lot of sense though.
Yeah. So that, for my opinion, that's why in Quebec we have one of the best brewery in the world.
Agreed. Breweries, spirits, and food, and cheese, maple. Wow, you can keep going. We're lucky, very lucky to live here. Liquid
That's
Happiness.
the topic.
Yeah, right. I know we could just keep going. Liquid Happiness disagrees, saying Quebec has the best gin out here. So many great options. I agree. JF, my man, we keep going off tangent. Tell us about your beer history, bro.
Yep. So always been a beer lover. So from my age of 15, I would say, but my background is more of a business background.
Okay.
And how did I was involved was my brother-in-law, Patrick Cool, who met Valérian. They both came to us and say, I think we have a great idea. With my business background, said we need to have the right mix in terms of talent. And I saw a talented guy in Valérian. He was really, really full of ideas. And my brother-in-law always been in the beer industry. So with that, we knocked and we had a fourth partner with Benoit Gagnon, a host in Montreal's television and radio. So like doing a good beer, I said to myself, I think we need to have the great mix of people to build a good company. And this is how it started. So in fact, I really learned more and more about the beer industry, but I start in 2016 when we start with with Amiral game. So to be really honest, I've been in the industry for the last 4 or 5 years. I really love. I learn every day, and what we missed was a great brewer. And this is where we met Victor at St. Luc, and we really started that great partnership. And you'll hear in the next couple of let's say minutes, we launched 5 other beers. And honestly, that was a pleasure to work with Victor. You'll hear about it's something. I think something in your mind, having an idea in your mind, and you see Valérian as full of ideas, but to be able to brew his ideas to something that is good was probably the best experience. So again, I'm calling myself a bit of a QB, a bit of a general manager. I like to learn a lot in every sphere, but my goal is to bring the best team, to build the best product and the best company. So this is what I'm trying to do, to have around me those kind of talent. And I'm trying to have the best of these people right now. And I love, you know what? I'll tell you a good story. We never really had salary right now. We are still working. And the dividend we have is to bring our beer at home and to give beer to our families. That's the kind of salary and dividend we have right now. Maybe one day we'll all be able to live. But as of now, it's still something where we have fun together. And we're trying to build something, but always having fun doing it. So that's a bit of my background, Craig.
I love it. Thank you. Okay, this is interesting because you're all from such different, areas and spheres of the world. So it's bringing in like so many, like you were saying, everyone has their own creativity that they're bringing to the company. So, being that the idea started from Valérian in the pub, and then you connected with Victor, and I guess you did the gin ale. So did it release in 2016 or did it release in 2017?
17.
17. Okay, that's
2017.
17, yeah.
In March, if I'm correct, March 2017. Yep.
Okay.
It's 4 years right now. Yeah.
amazing. That's crazy. So then you released it to was it a pretty immediate positive? Hey, look at that. Is that the OG?
Yeah, that's the first lifesaver, and
Love
we
it.
were the date 2017.
Oh shit!
He's
it does
drowning
say.
in beer. That's the problem.
Well, that could be a good episode name, Drowning in Beer. I love it. Okay, so you dropped the first beer 2017. Now, when this came out, what was the reaction from people? Because it's such a unique product. Particularly, you went straight to cans and straight to the market. It wasn't like a small batch in a brew pub or anything.
The
did
first
people
batch
react?
was in the bottle.
In a bottle.
For a year,
I remember
yeah,
that.
we were in
Yeah.
we were
Remember
in the
that?
bottle.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's all.
Yes.
That's yeah. For myself, I would like to go directly in the can, but at this era, our brewers didn't have the capacity to put it in cans, so we waited a year, and then we have to move from the first brewer that brew our stuff at Drummondville, Bockel, Michael Jean.
Yes, I know
made
Michael.
a great,
Yeah.
a great job, but he can't supply us no more because he's has other market and the exploding market, and our volume has tripled by that time after 1 year. So that's when we met Victor, and he bring us at St. Luc, and at that time we have in mind to make a one product brand like Guinness. So for 2 years we surf on one product, but it make no sense in 2018, 19 to have only one product in all the shelf, all the product, and all the opportunity the beer give you. You want to make other flavor. You want to make another brew. So and Victor made an incredible Pilsner. The Pilsner of Victor is very, very. It's bringing you back at the basic of beer. It's an easy drinking beer, but it's not easy to make beer.
No, 100%. It's a classic, but
It's very difficult. Victor, tell us about the Pilsner.
Yes.
Pilsners are extremely deceptive in the sense that they're widely consumed, one of the top selling beers styles made globally, but very difficult to make. Amongst microbreweries, especially, it's a beer style that does not hide its faults. So if anything goes wrong in the beer, you'll taste it in the final product.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas a stout, heavier beers, hoppier beers, many things can go wrong in a NEIPA. You might not catch it because you're overwhelmed by other flavor congeners. Pilsner, it's on the mark. I have to be honest with you. I'm very biased. I love Pilsners.
I'm with you.
This is the style of beer that I started brewing at the very beginning. I lived in Germany. I did a stage at the Bitburger Brewery.
Wow.
I saw the way they made beer. And then, strangely, a few months later, I went to do a stage at Labatt's Brewery in Montreal, and it was a complete different world. The way in Germany, almost at every level of society, beer is respected and understood, and even though they're all drinking Pilsners, every brewery there is making Pilsners for the most part. There's some exceptions, other styles of beer that are made, but they're all different. They're all special in their way. It's a difficult beer to make. Our Pilsner, 100% German malt, 100% German hops, cold fermented, 5 degrees Celsius for 6 weeks, and then aged another 3 weeks at 0 degrees. You can't do more to a beer. And then when you open, you say, well, it's a blonde beer. Yeah, but shall we?
Yeah, we shall. Do you mind grabbing the Pilsner?
I'm thirsty. Sorry.
No, I love it. No, let's do it. By the way, Frederick saying, if you have the chance to meet one brewer, Victor's the one. You got some fans, bro. You got some fans.
Definitely.
I love it. So this Pilsner. So basically, you guys decided to expand the range last year in 2020. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yep,
Okay.
exactly. The Pils just came in February 2020, Craig.
Okay, February
So
20.
because up to the end of 2019, only the Gin Ale was our beer. Like Valérian mentioned, we thought we had a one-hit wonder with our Gin Ale, but we faced the market where having only one beer is really tough. With so many good beer, with so many good brewer, we thought that we had to add more to our inventory. And I think when we met Victor and we heard a bit more about his history, we said we need to have a Pilsner with Victor. For us, it was nothing but having a Pils with Victor, with all that history that he has. We said, why don't we have one together? So the Pilsner was our second beer and was launched in February 2020.
Okay.
And only Victor can talk about it. Yeah. Yep.
I love it. So the reason you did a Pilsner was because of Victor's, the way that you've studied. Like, not many brewers out here have been able to study in Germany and learn from the masters, essentially, the guys who invented this stuff. Is that the reason you went for a Pilsner after being known for such a unique beer as the Gin Ale? When you went to a Pilsner, was that you were like, all right, let's take a bit of a left turn, let's show people that we can do more than just every beer that has? Because my initial thought was like, oh, sick, they're just doing a whole bunch of gin beers, but there's a gin IPA and a gin blah blah blah. But when I saw this, and I was like, oh, there's no gin in this. Okay, cool. So you guys are just expanding. I enjoyed that. So yeah, speak to that. Cheers.
It was a way to cheers. I have a
cheers, guys.
Great beer.
Yes,
it's very great beer. That's the first reason why we decided.
Isn't this a nice and lovely beer to drink? It's just after the Gin Ale, you go to this and you say, oh yeah, okay, that's nice, and we'll go back to the Gin Ale. We'll go back to the IPA. And then you come back to the Pilsner, and it kind of sets the tone. It kind of, brings us back to earth.
Yeah, it's like the baseline.
Victor taught us something that now it's in our way to drink beer. We also have like 3 or 4 beers in front of us, and the Pilsner we use it to clear our palate, like Victor used to taught us, and it's similar to the ginger. The ginger in the sushi, you use the between each bite, each fish to clear your palate. You use the ginger. Like we do the same with the Pilsner because it's clear, it's fresh, and if you want to taste a lot of beer, you have something to give you to the basic, to return to the basic between each beer.
It's really smart.
This one is
and
very,
maybe
it's fresh, very. Cereals, very. It seems easy when something is very very perfect. It seems easy to make, but there's a lot of work behind that. That's Victor told me about that, and I said, okay, we have to legitimate ourselves into a brewery now. We made a very unique beer, and we want to make a lot of beer. So we have to return to the basic and make the. In every brewery, you should have a blonde beer, no? So we have to have one. So that's why we make this turn left 180 degrees. But it was to propose Amiral as a brewery and not being the shade of the Gin Ale.
I love that.
And we went for a blonde beer, but a world class, world premium in the image of the great stock of a Pilsner, and it contrasts very well with the other offerings from Amiral. All the other beers they're pretty heavy hitters. They're very eventful beers, very oomphy beers. Yet in that family, we have the Pilsner,
which is a nice little balance. And JF, you were about to say something before, dude?
Now you can see on the can, easy drinking beer. That's something that we've put on, but it's not an easy making beer. We just had a discussion together, and that was the challenge for us. Having an easy drinking beer but having a big challenge of making it with a great brewer in Victor. So this is where we are really proud of that Pilsner. And it's tough to, people would say, why would I buy a Pils? But once you try it, you should see the comments we receive when people really try it. Say, hey, yeah, that beer is really amazing. So again, just I think Victor close of us right now saying, Vic, you really made a good beer, and you showed us how good brewer you were and how good you were with Pils. So we are really proud of that partnership.
Thank you,
with
sir.
So
Thank you, gentlemen.
Cheers to that. Cheers to that.
Yeah.
This
cheers.
there's been it's a great time for this because there's been a renaissance with pilsners, with craft pilsners now. It's become my favorite style. You know, obviously this is the stuff that got me into beer, and you go through the Belgians and all the darker beers and now all the trendy stuff, and then you kind of come back to this. And this is the first beer every time I don't really start with anything else. I always keep something in the fridge. So I think you're right. And I'm glad you guys did a Pilsner as opposed to just a blonde. The blondes are cool, but Pilsners are really, it's different. And like you're saying, you're actually aging it, you know, for weeks at 0 degrees. Like you're doing it, you know, cold fermenting this stuff. Like you're doing it properly. And I think
it's a real lager style beer. In beer you have ale and you have lager, and this one is a lager. It's a real Pilsner, and no doubt about it. If you want to go somewhere, you have to go the real way.
I couldn't agree more, my man. I couldn't agree more. James just said all of Victor's beers have a really nice foamy head, a big difference compared to the mainstream beers.
Nice.
So you guys have got some fans in this. Okay, so this was the first of step out into the world. How was this beer received by the drinkers, by the dépanneurs? Being that you were known for such an iconic beer of very unique style in the gin ale, excuse me. You know, how did people? They were like, "Oh, like you know Pilsner now." Like, what was the general response from people?
Pretty good, actually. We have a lot of people that drink very macro, big, major beer that I won't tell names, but everyone knows it with the Blue Mountain on it, and white cans or silver can, and and they say no, I won't drink micro beer. It's too strong taste, and when they taste the Pilsner, they say, oh, that's really a good beer for me, because they used to easy drinking beer, but this one is a really, really good one. So it was a good reception of this. But in the other specialty stores, it's not maybe the flavor of the month. So let's be honest, but this is a classic. For me, we have to have classic in the brewery.
Yeah,
and you can go experiment from. But return to the basic, it's important for us.
No, definitely agree. I think you make an interesting point that you know, maybe the dépanneurs weren't interested in like a classic beer, but because like we were always between Ontario and Quebec. We live here, but my girlfriend's from Toronto, so before the pandemic we were there a lot. So we've always covered kind of equally Quebec and Ontario, and I always found that Quebec was a little slow across the board to get onto the, you know, the crispy boy, as we call them, you know, like all the craft lagers and pilsners. But I feel like it's finally caught on. I feel like last year, like it finally got hold, and most breweries will be trying to do some sort of an actual lagered beer, as opposed to just a blonde or just ignoring that style altogether. So it's been nice to see Quebec finally embrace it. So I would hope now that the Deps and the drinkers are more interested in this. Obviously, the gateway, which is what you're referring to with the macro drinkers coming into, you know, craft, this is exactly what this is for. But also for the beer nerds, because the beer nerds who buy in barrel-aged imperial stouts and stuff love these just as much. So it's an interesting...
Exactly, but like we said a few times before, it's difficult to make because you have to have the right equipment. Victor can tell you more about all the equipment we have in our facility. But to make a lager, you have to ferment it cold. So it's
you need a lot of time.
There's not a lot of brewery and a lot of time too. So in Quebec, there's not a lot of brewery that have this equipment and that have the time to make that kind of beer. Because historically, this beer was fermented in the cavern of the German, and they leave it to all the summer, and that it was ready to for the winter. I'm correct, Victor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There was actually a question about that. I'd like to hear about the process, but in line with that, Ashley Sexton is saying, "I love a well-crafted Pilsner, nowhere to hide the faults," which is exactly what you said before, Victor. And she also said, "Apologies if you mentioned it already, but where did you source the noble hops for your Pilsner?"
They're German hops. Yeah.
Are they from? They said, "Where did you source?" So they're Hallertau and Tettnang. Were they?
I'm using a Hallertau Tettnang for finishing, and for the bittering hops, I'm using Northern Brewer.
Okay, so you actually got the hops direct
and Hallertauer.
And Hallertauer, right? So that all of that has to come directly from Germany, right? Because they're probably proprietary blends. Okay,
and we're using Weyermann Pilsner yeast, Pilsner malt for the malt.
Okay. No, that's amazing. That's authentic.
The only non-German aspect of this beer is the water.
Okay, right. Keeping it local.
Yeah.
As we should. You don't want to import water. James is saying, yes, finally Quebec catches on to IPAs and tasty lagers. Time to try things other than Belgian sweet beers. Yeah, that was always my feeling about Quebec too. I couldn't be prouder though. I find that Quebec now makes the best beer in Canada. That's I feel like I'm really proud of Quebec and how far it's come. It's amazing, man. Like, I feel like the breweries here, there's something that's happened in the last 18 months or something where it's just gone. There's always been great beer here, don't get me wrong, but I feel there was a few things where we had gaps. One of them was Pilsners. There wasn't as amazing Pilsners as there was elsewhere. Now it's just like out of control in every single category. You got unique beers like the Gin Ale that doesn't really exist anywhere in that form, where you've essentially created this style, pulling authentic, botanicals from a very, arguably the best, most engaging popular spirit right now as well, particularly for locals. So, it's very, very cool. People keep commenting. You guys are super popular. I love this.
Thank you.
Frederick is saying, love what you're saying about Pilsner. It doesn't have to be the cheap one and the one that all kind of taste the same, which is very true. And Ashley's saying, thank you for the info on the German stuff. So coming back to what we were talking about, the actual equipment you're using to brew the Pilsner, is there anything, like, are you using maybe those sideways fermenters or anything?
No, it's about capacity. So when you are dedicating a tank for upwards of 8 weeks to one beer, one brand, one liquid that's coming out, you need a lot of space. Yeah. You need a lot of room for that. Most ales will occupy a tank for 10 days, 2 weeks maybe. So now we're talking 6 weeks. So out of a tank that you see like behind me, I'm getting 1/3 less capacity out of it. So you need the space. So if you see behind me that sign that says a Pilsner, that's only 1/3 the height of the tank. It's full.
A big boy. Right.
It's sitting there. Yeah, it's sitting there because it has to.
Okay.
And so you need that kind of space. And also for Pilsners, well, the beers are filtered. So we've got filtration equipment. And then it goes into the bright beer tank and then eventually into the can.
Okay, right. So it's like proper stuff. With the cold fermentation, do you have you're going to?
You see the color, the crystal tree of the Pilsner, and the haziness and the brown of the Gin Ale.
Yeah.
It's very different. The ale and the lager.
The clarity on the Pilsner is phenomenal. It's really nice.
It's cold filler 2 times.
Cold filler. Okay. So keeping it cold when it's lagering, do you have? I think it's isn't it like the glycol outside, or do you put it in like a cold room or something?
No, correct. It's all these tanks are jacketed and insulated. Gotcha, so there's a coating of cold glycol along the tank that keeps it cold.
Gotcha.
So it could be 30 degrees outside, and the tank will be at 0 degrees Celsius.
That's so cool, eh? When you think about it.
Yeah.
It's amazing to be able to do that. I love it.
And this is equipment that you got to have to do this kind of beer.
Yeah. Yep. Just going to do it properly. Yep, you definitely need all that stuff.
Yeah.
James also saying the Czechs make nice beer like Victor's. They certainly do. Czech and German styles is...
I'm going to have to send this guy a check.
All right. Are you sure it's not you type? I'm joking, playing. That's good, man. I love it. No, it's cool to see. Like, it's interesting to see the people who come through. They see that you guys are going to be on here tonight. They come through and they're, it's cool. I actually forgot to tell you guys there's going to be live comments coming through. But the good thing about that is that I'm sure a lot of people don't, especially now, they don't get to ask you questions or tell you guys these things, right? So it's a nice sort of opportunity for the community to, pass on their respects or ask a question and things like that. So I appreciate doing these podcasts for that. And it's always fascinating to see. And I think a lot of you guys are like, wow, like all these people are excited about it. It's crazy. Helen saying, nothing like a good Pils with the right balance, not too hoppy, good bitterness. Damn right. So
But it doesn't mean that we don't like hoppiness. I'm a IPA fan, and that's why I asked Victor after the Pilsner to make an West Coast IPA.
Tell us about it.
Can we make it like Quebec style? Can we have had our touch in the beer? And Victor have the wonderful idea to get to the roots of the IPA, the English one, and use the 6-row malt in the beer, and it gives the IPA the richness and the caramelized malty taste, combined with a good selection and a good amount of hops. It's the better. It's a good taste between English IPA and a West Coast IPA, and then would make it North American IPA, and introduce you our IPA.
Nice. Shall we move on to that one?
Yes.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's go. I love it. You guys are driving this.
Keep some Pilsner. Just make sure you keep some Pils.
I've been sipping it slow for that reason. I've been sipping them all really slow so I can I want to taste them all. Can you get the green IPA, please? Thank you, babe. Talk to me.
The beautiful thing about this IPA, the story of this IPA is the 6-row barley malt.
Okay.
Historically, ales were brewed with 6-row malt. Lagers and continental beer on the continent were brewed with 2-row barley malt.
Okay.
Because on the continent, 2-row barley malt grew there, and on the British Isles, you had 6-row and you had a little bit of 4-row barley malt.
Okay.
And when the boys introduced the idea of coming up with an IPA, I wanted to propose to them something that would distinguish the Amiral IPA to all the other IPAs that are out there.
Okay.
So we said, listen, in our discussions, we said, let's make it a North American IPA. Let's use all North American ingredients. So the hops are coming from Quebec. We're using nugget from Quebec, from a small malt hop farm, Jarret Noir.
Okay.
They supply us with the hops, and some hops coming from the States. And
yes.
And we said, okay, let's use 6-row barley malt. 6-row barley malt, what distinguishes it is on the shaft of the barley. Rather than having two seeds growing on every level, you have 6 around each crown.
That's what it means. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So you have either 2 for 2-row barley or 6 for 6. And because there's 6 on that space, the barley seeds are smaller. They're sharing more volume but less space. 2-row barley, which we find in the continent, which historically we made pilsners with, there's more room for that barley seed to grow, so it's bigger and fatter.
Okay.
When it's bigger and fatter, there's more starch to protein ratio.
Okay.
When there's less room, because you have 6 6 grains growing on that little space,
Mm-hmm.
the protein to starch ratio is higher. There's more protein to starch. Protein is what gives beer its color, the foam, flavor. Starch essentially just gives you alcohol.
Okay.
Right. And so that's just why historically in the UK, ales are dark, brown, flavorful, rich, and the beers made on the continent with two-row barley are pale pilsners, lagers. That's the history of how these beer styles evolved based on the ingredients that were available.
Mm.
Nowadays, most beers are made with two-row because it's more economical. We're not brewing for protein. We're not making beer for protein. We want to remove protein from beer. In fact, just up until recently, Molson Brewery was using 6-row in their beers, 50-50 with 2-row, and they were making historically ales. Labatt's was making lagers, and so they were using 2-row.
Right.
So what we chose to do is, hey, let's be out of the box. Let's be really distinguished with our IPA and go 100% 6-row. And that's why if you look at it, look at the foam on this beer.
Yeah, it's massive. Just waiting for it to go down.
It's massive. It won't.
It won't. Oh, it won't. Okay.
This is phenomenal.
It is. It's like exceptional. I was wondering what was causing it. So it's the malt, eh? Okay.
It's the malt.
Right. So people see that shit. Like, that's crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
To get around waiting for it to go down, I guess you just stick your nose in it and go for it.
Just like when you're a kid.
Okay. Did you need any more photos, or you got what you needed? Yeah. Okay. Well, cheers, boys.
Cheers, guys.
Yes.
Yep.
Cheers.
Yep. So
Nice.
that
Okay.
beer, Craig,
Yeah. Yes.
okay.
Talk to me.
Yep, it came in February 2020. So that was the third beer, and just hit the market in Feb 2020.
Okay, that's what we're doing. I'm gonna do the selfie because I haven't reviewed this one yet. Okay.
no?
Yep. No, I had. I think there's this one and the rum ale. I've done every other one, so that's perfect. I need to. I'm just gonna be taking single word notes down. I don't want to look like I'm rude on my phone. I would never do that. Just a couple things to remind for later. But okay, so what I'm getting when I'm drinking this, it's exactly what you guys said. It's like that British meets West Coast. Now, what about this am I tasting that is reminding me of the British style? Is it the there's something here that's reminding me of it. I can't put my finger on it. Is it like the caramel maltiness or something?
The body malt, yes.
You're very good at what you do. Yes. There's crystal malt.
Crystal. Okay.
Yeah. There's about 5% crystal malt.
5% crystal. Okay.
I like crystal.
Yeah.
And this is very in line with British brewing practice for making that style of beer.
Right. Okay. So, and then obviously I'm getting some pine immediately, which is the West Coast here from the North American hops that you've used. So essentially, would you say, is it probably leaning a little more towards a North American West Coast, more so than a traditional British style? Because I guess obviously the color, it's more of a burnt orange than like that brown that you would typically associate with a British style. Yeah, it's a nice blend. I really find that I like when brewers kind of take the styles, like in New England, a lot of them do East meets West, where it's kind of like hazy and tropical, but still a little piney and bitter and stuff, and like blending it. I feel like I'm getting a similar experience here from the that English stuff, which I guess is not super popular anymore. I guess it's usually, I find the West Coast IPAs actually are having a bit more of a renaissance because of the insane amount of haze that's out there. So it's definitely always like refreshing to get a West Coast IPA, So this sits really well. How did why did you guys decide to do this as the third beer? And then secondly, how did that get received? Same as the Pilsner, like how were the drinkers? Because now they must be like, what are these guys doing? They're doing the gin, they dropped the pills, now they got this West Coast. Like, were they once again just happy to see a new beer from you? Were they confused? What was the general situation?
But it was to continue the legitimation of or to be a brewery and to propose a style that's very popular but very classic in its way from 20 years ago, the West Coast IPA, but bring it next level. But it wasn't for us to go to make another classic and to prove ourselves and to others that we are a good brewery and we know our basis.
I love it, and I'm really enjoying this, man. This is really good. Like, this is
maybe
yeah. No, go on, Vic. Go on, bro.
maybe a funny thing, Craig, to your question about how does a consumer react in my family, and you always want to make your beer. You want to have your beer being tasted by your family and your friend. And in my family, they were not IPA fans at all. Not at all. They didn't like IPA. And my brother just said, "Wow, I'm not really an IPA fan, but you know what? I like that one. There's something in it, and I just can't describe it and why. But you know what? I think I'm gonna like IPA more and more." So I think from people, same for my wife, who's not an IPA lover, I think she finds something interesting in it that was maybe not as strong as others, but something that was affordable and something that she could really taste. Not maybe having a full can, but that was something for me. I think my wife saying, "Hey, I can have a few." So I don't know, Vic, how could you maybe explain why would people not being maybe fully fan of IPA could have a taste and love that brand? Well, what could you say about that?
It's certainly a very complex beer. It's a very rich beer. And I think that most of us, and I'm going to go back to the base of the beer, the malt. Most of us grew up drinking beer made with this 2-row barley, and now we're tasting a beer that has 6-row barley, and we're wondering, what is it? What about it? We can't quite put our finger onto it, and the only denominator that's not the same is this obscure malt that is not widely used anymore at all. And it's there. It says, "Oh yeah, it is adding something. It's rich. It's thick. It's complex. It's dry. It's very drinkable. It's eventful. There's lots of hops. Yeah,
I love it. No, it's an interesting.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting point as well. Even JF saying that your wife is starting to like it, because this specific style of beer I always found was the one that scared people off beer, because like, oh no, IPAs are too bitter. And look, this is bitter, but it's not like, the ones of 5 to 10 years ago that ripped your taste buds off. It's quite balanced, and I think it's quite approachable. It might not convert people, but it's not intended to. That's what the Pilsner's for, right? This is just like a really well-made beer that brings people back to that sort of, maybe like the Sierra Nevada time, when they first tried the pale ale or something like that. Those first piney West Coast beers that they're kind of becoming more common, but still not crazy.
Yeah, my hope with this beer was that the person that was drinking IPA, the person that was familiar with the style, would take this beer and say, "Oh yeah, I find something familiar with it, but there's something quite different. There's something quite unique and eventful about it." And that aspect is the 6-row barley, 100%.
Okay.
It's well balanced beer.
Yeah.
The balance is really there's a lot of IPA that have maybe too hoppy burn. The hop is not well balanced. It's not. It's taking too much on the beer. It's not balanced well with the other ingredients. But I think there's another factor that the people is now more aware of bitterness taste. In the foodies and the restaurant, we use more bitter ingredients like turnip and all the new vegetables and the whole vegetable, but new to the kitchen, to the new plate, and we bring the food to a next level. So the palate of the public is now well prepared to have that kind of beer, and there's an escalade of double dry hop and triple dry hop. So it's like when the only the hot sauce that you taste, it's Tabasco.
Right.
And when you taste other peppers like Ghost and those, let's say the peppers from Jamaica and
Yeah, Scotch bonnet.
all the other hot sauce,
Yeah.
there's a new world opens to you. But your taste is refined, and it's like tasting blue cheese for the first time. It's not good, but you'll be used to it, and finally you're gonna love it, and you ask for more and more strong cheese. So the beer is kind of the same.
Yeah, Val brings up an interesting point that how people's tastes and preferences and flavors are evolving. We went through how many generations of drinking, of having available to us two breweries, maybe three, with producing the same style of beer. And then all of a sudden we have in the market available to us all sorts of beers, all sorts of flavors, so many things. And the same evolution is happening in other departments, in foods and flavors. And it's not good enough just to have Heinz ketchup on the table. You need something else. You need a different mayo. You need a different mustard, because people's flavors are wasabi. People's flavors are taste preferences are changing for the better.
Yeah. No, that's it.
So the $1 million question is, hey, how do you get ahead of this game? How do you predict what's going to be?
The interesting thing about that is it's all even regional. Even like what's going to be popular in Quebec this year might not be popular in Vermont or in Ontario or in British Columbia. It's all different. Quebec, for example, was ahead of the game in Canada on the smoothie sour thing. People were doing it about a year ago. And only in Ontario towards the end of last year did people start really doing it. So like Quebec actually kicked that off and figured that out. So who even knows? Like I wouldn't have even picked Quebec to be the first ones to do it, to be honest, prior to that. Right. So like I feel like you just don't even know. And also I guess, usually the trends come from the States and then they'll come up here and they'll hit different areas differently, and it's really tough to know, particularly even like we were saying with the lagers and the pilsners. Quebec was a little late in the game to get into that, but did they ever make up for it? It's a beautiful thing to watch. So I don't know if there is a way to get ahead of it, Victor. I think it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
But one thing for sure though, in all sort of food industry, I would say in my experience that the beer, the craft beer segment, people are willing to try. People are more daring. Yes. The brewers are more daring. Yes. The customers will try it. You don't see that in any other industry. You don't see that in any other segment. You don't see that in the wine or the cheese or they're more traditional industries. Beer,
constantly, right?
Yeah, we'll do a gin ale and see what happens. And people will take it. People will buy. People will try it. Let's see what's going to happen.
That's how you evolve. You try and you propose. You don't have that, and the people dispose.
Yeah, you don't have that kind of evolution or that kind of growth in other segments.
No,
it's a beautiful industry to be in.
No, you're so right. There seems to be a bit of a culture of innovation with beer too. Like people want to try different things. I guess if you think about it compared to wine, there's a quick turnaround. You can do a new beer in, like you were saying, 10 to 14 days. In wine, you have to wait a whole harvest season, and then you've got to do all, it's like a year or so, and it's risking a lot of money, where it's like, whatever, in comparison to do a little crazy test beer, it's simple and it's affordable. And even if you think, this is the way I think for a drinker, my partner Tiffany, who's our producer for the podcast, she also has a wine and spirits account as well. We work together with these things. So the difference I notice even with her, it's like if she wants to try a new bottle of wine that particularly is from like a small winery, you're not going to get that cheaper than $20. You're looking $20, $30, $40, $50 to just to see if it's good. Yeah. But what's, even for the most expensive cans of beer, you're going to be spending $8, $7, or $8 in the high end. Most of them are $3 to $6. So $3 to $6 to see, let's see how it is. People will roll the dice. They don't care. $3 to what's that? It's not even a coffee. Yeah. But in a bottle of wine, it's a different thing. A bottle of gin, that's $50. And now you go to SAQ, you can't try it. If you come to the Porveille, you can try a little shot, you can test it out, and then you buy a bottle later. But unfortunately, that's not, you can't do that right now. So it's sort of like beer is in a very unique position because people want to continue to drink. Maybe some people are on a lower budget, but they're going to be still interested in trying new things because they can still walk out of there and spend $40 and still walk out with 10 different beers that are all completely different, different styles, different breweries. They go, I like this what's this thing called again? The Life Circle.
The Lifesaver?
Lifesaver, I forgot the damn name. You know, I like this. This looks cool. I'm gonna grab this one. Like, if they like it, amazing. If they don't like it, it's no loss.
No.
I think that's a beautiful position for beer, and that keeps the industry going.
It's nice. It's very humbling. It's very grounding.
It is.
But I'd like to give 2 times a chance for a product, especially a beer, because when you drink it, sometimes it's not the right moment.
Yeah.
And you don't appreciate as well, even if it's the cool temperature, you have a good glass. But if you're not with the right people, it's not the right moment in your day and your week, and it's a sweet beer, and you like something more refreshing, or it's too strong, and you didn't have hate yet. You're late in your supper, it's too late in the evening. It's not because the beer is not good. It's because it was not the right moment to drink that kind of beer. So I'd like to give a second chance sometimes, or something at first I didn't like it, and I retry it. And the thing is good with beer is each brew, each batch, we evolve. We always changing. Victor is make adjustment every time. He's a maniac. He's a good chemist. He always try to find the perfection. So the product you've tasted 1 year ago and this year, it's not the same. Everything's evolved. It's not the same product because the hops of these seasons was not the same as the last year. So everything make it ephemer. So you have a good recipe, you try to stick to it, but you have to deal with all the ingredients and the availability and what's in the air, what's in the water.
It's a really good point. I very much agree. I think you always got to try something a couple of times. I like to do the same with beer. I would say the same with a restaurant or a particular vegetable or something like that. Try it a couple times and see how you feel. If you don't like it, second try, fair enough. But yeah, that's a really good point. Particularly with maybe like if you're new to beer, like a seasoned beer drinker will know what this is and that's fine. But a newer person, they might be like, what is this flavor? Why does it taste like trees? Why is it like, fruity and bitter? What's going on? They don't really get it, right? So there's like a learning curve too. So it's a really good thing. We have a couple questions for you guys as well. People are going in. Ashley is saying, brewing question from some professionals. Are decoctions something breweries still do during their mash? I'm asking from a curious home brewing perspective.
No, they're not. So historically, and I hate to do this, to get back to the 2-row and the 6-row. Decoction and single infusion. Decoction mashing is when you do you're going to do a step mash. You're going to start your mashing at 45 degrees Celsius, and then 55 degrees Celsius, and then 65 degrees Celsius. And each step of the way, you're working the mash. You're preparing the mash, the enzymes that are going to mix with the protein, the starches to do the conversion. Now, historically, in Germany, they did the decoction mash because they were using 2-row barley malt. If you remember from the lesson about 20 minutes ago, 2-row barley, a lot of starch, not much protein.
Okay.
And it's in the protein that contains the enzymes to convert to starch. So because you don't have very much to begin with, you have to do a lot with what you have. And so decoction mash help the enzymes, help the protein convert the starch. In the UK, they did a single infusion with 6-row barley, lots of protein, very little, less starch. And so you didn't have to do all these mashing steps to get a good conversion. These days, with science, in the last 50 years, with malting technology, we're perfecting the malting process so that there's enough protein. The starch is well modified. The grain is well modified. So you can do a single infusion mash with 2-row barley and have a very dry, a very well converted mash.
Okay.
Even in Germany, they're not really doing step decoction mashing.
Okay.
Some are out of tradition, but they don't have to.
Okay.
I hope that answers your question.
Yes, for Ashley. You know what? You actually answered the question I always had, because there's a bit of a renaissance I've noticed for brewers in Quebec and in Ontario to do pilgrimages to Prague and to Pilsen to go to the Czech Republic. And there's one of my favorite breweries in Toronto is called Godspeed, and they did a full Czech thing, and they advertised that they did a triple decoction mash. And I never knew what that was. I just saw it on the thing. But I think they're not doing it because they need to. They're doing it for what you said, for tradition, to make it as close to Pilsner Urquell as they could. So that that's a good answer.
Yeah, so they were doing, back in the day, they were doing triple decoction mashes because the quality of the malt wasn't fantastic, wasn't that great. Okay. And so they had to work it, they had to massage it, they had to get it going, and it took a long time, and the triple decoction, different temperatures to help the enzymes, to help the acidity, and then finally to do the conversion. And nowadays the malt's practically converted. Gotcha. You could do a 20 minute mash and the beer's dry.
Okay.
You make a comparison with Wagyu beef and normal beef. It takes a long time, and it takes a lot of procedure and a lot rest to make a Wagyu Japanese beef. But to make a normal beef burger, you just have to wipe out the Amazonia forest and let them grow. So.
I shouldn't really even be laughing because that's terrible, but you are right, though. Yeah, that's probably a good comparison. It's just, do you want to do it traditional or not?
So I think that if you were to do a decoction mash with today's malt, the beer would be very dry, very crisp. There wouldn't be anything left.
The one that I saw, they said they used Czech floor malted barley imported from the Czech Republic. So did that mean that they needed to do it because it's still older school, or not really?
Nah, not really. Maybe not really.
They're being fancy.
Not really.
They're just trying to be like super. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. So the malt these days is so well modified that in order to give the beer body and foam, some brewers are actually adding wheat or oats or flavor, to help this malt give a little bit of body. Otherwise, you'd have a very bland, dead beer like a Blue or a Bud, like that are just 100% 2-row barley malt. There's not much there.
Right. Okay. That's a great answer. That was actually really interesting. Thank you. A few more questions. Veronique says, you get a nice mustache from I think that was when we were drinking the foam. You sure do. That is like the foamiest beer I've had for a while. I love it. Daniel Pearson, what up, man? He says, historically a 50 drinker, been draining Amiral pills since last year. Thanks, gentlemen. Look at that. Converted him.
Thank you.
I love it. Cool. And a couple...
this is a good compliment.
It's a good one, right? It's perfect.
Yeah.
So it shows it's a really good gateway beer.
It's like a little moment there.
Yeah, right. I love it. Frederick is saying, great foam. No more putting salt and tapping on the edge of the glass. And great that you can get beers to your host. The wine bottle, not an obligation or on his own anymore. I guess you're probably saying instead of bringing wine to an event when we're allowed to do those again, you can bring a bunch of good beers and share them with people. And it's a whole different world with this stuff now, right?
There's one thing, Craig.
So
I want to make sure maybe we'll have time to discuss is the process when we decide to have a beer.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that Victor will explain how is it, because that's one of the best moments. One thing is to bring your beer at home, but the other thing is to be part of that process. As being a fan, not being an expert, but being part of these processes where we end up with our beer is potentially what I would say the best experience we have. And Victor brought us into that experience. So maybe if we have time, we still have maybe 3 other beers to talk about.
Oh, yeah,
It
we're
would
gonna
be
go through.
interesting to talk about how is it that we came to that ended product and how Victor brought ourselves to that experience. So if we have time, I would love to have that discussion.
I love it. It's amazing. Valérian, you are
Yep.
cheeky.
Well,
Shall we do the New
that-
England? Or?
That could
Yes.
be a segue into the NEIPA, the New England IPA.
Yeah.
I think actually.
No,
And
perfect.
if I may,
So-
just before we go into it, if I may add one thing. You know what? I said, let's go back to my wife for a moment. I was not able to bring her to be a fan with my IPA, but she was half of a fan. So
Okay.
I said to Victor and Valérian, we need to have something else. I need to have my wife drinking a full IPA because I'm a fan. So
Okay.
that was their next challenge.
And this is where this bad boy comes in.
This is it.
Yes.
I think it is. Yeah.
So the process that we-
every my
that-
kids, but this one is one of my favorite.
It's a
I
favorite.
really like the New England IPA, and I asked Victor to make a good one. And I know it was out of his comfort zone, but I'm very, very proud of his. This is the second batch, and this one is really on point.
It was on point. I had the first batch.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you have. Yep. I think we're having the second batch. Craig. Yep.
Yep.
I dropped my
For-
beer.
Uh-oh.
And for everybody, New England as a depot, it's like a pineapple juice.
It's not.
If you don't shake it before your pineapple juice, you will get crystal clear first glass, and the last glass of your pineapple juice will be hazy.
Yes.
So you have to put it all in the glass.
All in the glass. It's the opposite
Yeah.
of, say, if you're used to drinking a lambic or one of those beers like that. It's the complete
Yeah.
opposite. Those ones keep the yeast away from it. Do you know what's interesting? I drink so many New England IPAs. I drank a Durank lambic recently, and I posted it. Someone was like, "Why is it like muddy?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I poured it all in." Like, "Did you pour in the sediment?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You idiot! What are you doing?" And I forgot that you're not supposed to do that because I'm so used to exactly what you said, is making sure that I get it all in there.
Yeah, it's like wine. When old wine, old Bordeaux,
Yes.
you're gonna use a decanter, or you're gonna to pour very delicately, so all the depot will stay in the bottles.
Yeah.
But with the New England, it's the opposite. You want it. That's the taste,
All in
and
there.
that's the hazy.
Yes.
And in our New England, there's no lactose.
No lactose?
It's not. It's only the l'avoine.
Yeast?
Oats.
Lavoine.
Yeast
Oats. Oh, of course.
sorry.
Lavoine. I'm sorry.
Oats.
Levures, yeast.
Oats.
Yes.
that give the thickness and the haziness of the well balanced. For me, it's one of the best New England IPA, and of course it's ours, but
Of course.
it's
No.
the best. I tried a lot. I still do. Every time I saw a new one, the grocery store, I buy it, and this one is my benchmark.
You've got a big hop bill in this one, too. You've got Nugget, Mosaic, Eldorado,
Oh, yeah.
Chinook, Cascade, and Citra. So it's a big one. Sorry, I cut somebody off there.
Victor,
No?
Yeah, no, it's a heavy hitter.
Yeah. So you guys
Often,
decided to make...
if
Go on, brother. Sorry.
go ahead.
Go ahead,
Sorry.
Craig.
No, go ahead.
No, finish that thought. I was just going to say, like, this was the next one that you decided to make. I was going to ask why you decided to make this one. So finish what you were saying, and then maybe tell us why you guys decided to follow up your West Coast with a New England. Keep going with the thought, bro. Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Oh, I was at the end of my thought. I was just to say, yeah, it's a heavy hitter with these hops. I find that when you open this beer in a room, the whole room smells like like mango and papaya and these tropical fruits.
Yeah.
It's an incredible beer, and like Val alluded to, it for me it was a challenge because it's a new style. It's a relatively new style of beer. Everyone has their different interpretation. Every brewer has their way of doing it. This NEIPA style is really a celebration of the hop. How can we, and the whole brewing, the whole boiling, the whole fermentation is all about how do we elevate the hop. So all the hops are added after the boil.
Right.
There's no bitterness. There's no bittering hops. Everything is added at the whirlpool and then in fermentation, and lots of hops.
Yes.
I know JF hates hearing this from me, but I go to tears because there's more money in the hops than there is in anything else in this beer. It's most beers, the most expensive ingredients is the malt.
Right.
Not here.
No.
And it almost double. Almost like it's sick. Yeah.
But it's so good.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but I guess with this style, it's you got to go big or go home.
Yeah.
Not optimal for
right.
the wallet, but you know what? I think that the consumer is now educated enough about this style that they're willing to spend what it takes,
Correct.
you know, to get a beer that tastes like this, because to make it taste like this, it's cost money. So it is what it is, you know.
It's so new, and it's not something that we when I went to his brewing school in Scotland, these beers did not exist.
No.
And to have told someone back then, yeah, we're gonna make a beer where we're gonna dump all the hops in the fermenter at cold temperature, they would have thought you were crazy.
It is a strange process. Historically, when you
look
think
at
about it. Oh yeah.
This
What's
is
that in comparison
the
to?
Pilsner,
That's the Pils.
and that's the New England.
New
Like,
England.
you see the haziness and the
Yeah.
thickness. This is like a Beaujolais, and this is like a Shiraz,
Syrah, I was going to say Syrah or something.
Côte d'Or.
Yeah. No, it's totally a different vibe. But Isabel is just saying, love the aroma of the New England IPA. So fresh. Hell yeah. So following same question as the other beers. So now this is beer number 4. JF, when was this one dropping? When did it come out? Do you remember?
September. Yep, September
Okay.
2020.
So there was a bit of a gap
Yep.
between beer 3 and 4 then. Probably like 6
Yes.
months
That
from
is
what it sounds
correct.
like. Okay, beautiful. So I
Yep.
think, I got the first
Yep.
batch of this one. I think it must have been September then.
Yeah,
Will you gentlemen excuse me for a second?
Absolutely, yeah.
I think the telephone in my office is ringing.
I know the vibes.
that's a good one.
That was slick. No one's ever done that before.
Yeah.
So
Greg,
bro.
Greg, yeah. So again, like I've just mentioned, in fact, yes, my wife, going back to my wife, was in love with that beer, and she not only she loves it, and she can drink a full can right now, which was a big win for me because I do like IPA, but over that, there was an idea behind why bringing a New England IPA was to put the table on for the next beer, and we'll talk about it later on. But there was an idea before. Not yes, we want to have a New England IPA, but we had in mind the next product in line. So this is why it happened in September, but close in October was our fifth product that just came out. So, but that being said, I'd like to hear a bit more about your feedback. And I know you had you had some New England IPA in your life. So, what are your first thoughts about ours?
Yes, so
I'd like Yep.
For sure. So you went with the opaque as opposed to like the milky haze, which is usually a style like a visual choice. The head is awesome. That big sort of foamy head that kind of keeps the aroma around. Super tropical fruit.
Yeah.
You got a really good hop bill with a lot of tropical hops like Mosaic Eldorado, Citra. Those ones specifically are super aromatic. There's definitely, as you're saying, there's no bitterness in this one.
Nope.
Tons of tropical fruit flavor, nice mouthfeel. It's a nice. I feel like it's on brand for Amiral because I think this is like an approachable New England IPA. Some of the stuff that like the more, I would just say like extreme ones,
Yes.
might be a little off-putting, and they don't distribute so well on first thing as well. But also, well, they can, but they're a little more precious. But they might be a little too scary. You guys, from what I can tell now, 4 beers in with a couple to go, I feel like you guys are really have ways to convert people from macros into craft beer. So if you guys did some sort of really crazy extreme thing, like you said, with lactose or some other stuff, it just wouldn't make sense for the brand. I think what this is a solid New England IPA to introduce the style to people who've never heard of it before. It's the least scary type of IPA, like you were saying, because if your wife doesn't like the bitter stuff, you can give this to someone, they can be like, oh wow, like why do they taste like this? Is the number one style that I would say I convert my non-beer drinking friends to beer with, more so than say a Pilsner, because that to them is their dad's beer or whatever, because it's still the same thing, just better. But this is like, you give this to a white wine drinker, they lose their mind. So I really think this is a good converter beer for drinkers who might be into your Pilsner, like the gentleman before saying he was a 50 drinker, and now he drinks the Amiral Pilsner and he loves it. So then, he likes the brand, and he might be like, yo, what's this Burgundy can here? Let me grab this one. And then be like, wow, it's not bitter. It's not all those things that are scary about beer. So I think this is important to have a beer like this in the lineup for sure. It's super solid, man. You guys, I can see why you're super happy with it. It's a nice ABV as well. So I'm looking here, 6.4. So it's not, it's not too much. It's someone said, James said, a ladies IPA. I mean, I don't know if that's supposed to be a bad thing or anything, but this is
it's a good name. It's a good name.
If it's
ladies
IPA, and Natasha saying
it's a very approachable beer. It's very it's eventful, but it's not obtrusive.
No, not at all.
It's well made. It's well constructed. Someone who likes that style will say, yeah, it's good. And like Greg, you're saying, someone who's new to it will say, okay, I can drink this. That's quite nice.
Yeah, I think it will. It's the time like, if you're going for the real people who like the extreme real hype hard to get stuff, it might not be in their lane, because it's a little more on the approachable side, which is here you go. Natasha's saying exactly, the New England made me like an IPA, which is awesome. But like I say, if you guys came out with some crazy stuff, it just wouldn't match the brand. It just wouldn't make any sense for you. So this is the perfect one, because she didn't I remember she was telling me it was never her thing. She came into working with you guys and not knowing a lot about beer, and then this was the one beer she was telling me a lot about, because it impressed her so much as far as getting her taste buds onto a new style. And the one thing in beer, and I say this a bunch, and I feel like the gateway beers do not get the credit that they deserve, because gateway beers are the ones that are growing the industry. If it isn't for beers like these, then the industry is stagnant. It's not going to grow. This is how you get the new folks coming in from the macros, maybe they'll try the Pilsner, they'll be like, oh, I like gin ale, cool, and they'll try it, it's a novelty. But when you have something like this, it's just so easy to drink, and it's fruity, and it's, it's going to they're going to be, wow, all of these beers are really good. That is what grows the scene, and all the other breweries benefit from that. It's it's very important.
And the craft segment is the only segment in beer that's growing.
Yes, correct.
And it's growing because people who weren't drinking it are drinking it, and they're finding things that are interesting, that are drinkable. Yeah,
man. No, it's really good. So I wanted to know, why did you guys? So was the reason that you went for this beer fourth because of JF, your wife, and just trying to, hey guys, let's make something that's that can convince her to do it, or was it more just you guys like New England?
There was another reason.
Oh yeah, talk to me.
There was another reason, because I wanted to revisit the Gin Ale and to twist it a little bit with the note of agrum, citrus, and tropical note. Like grapefruit and pineapples goes very well with gin. So let's say, why don't we use the same hops that we use in the New England and add it in our botanicals of the gin ale and make it gin IPA.
Well, yeah, we're moving right ahead. I love it.
Yes.
So that beer, that was the one. That's kind of what I thought you were doing. I was like, oh, they made a gin ale, and I think I saw that can second. So I hadn't seen these other ones before. And I was like, all right, gin ale, gin IPA. That makes sense. Of course you would do that. And then I think I just assumed everything was gin. I didn't even look. And then as I was drinking them, I was like, hang on, this doesn't taste like gin. Like, oh shit, okay. So it's just that one beer was the other gin beer, and then the rest of these are just quality beers that stand on their own. Which is super dope. Frederick's just saying, coming back to that, says, strangely, as a new IPA customer, I found the Amiral New England IPA less bitter than the IPA. So that's basically what it is, Frederick.
It is.
Yeah,
he's bang on.
But it's not strange because this style, like stylistically, BJCP should not have really any bitterness in it. Whereas a West Coast IPA is bitter as hell. That's the point.
Yeah, all the bitterness from the NEIPA is coming post kettle.
Correct. And there's like some New Englands have nothing, some have like a touch. Depends on the brewer and how you decide to do it, but typically you're not going to find any bitterness in a true New England IPA anyway. And this one,
and it's
susceptible.
You think there is because it's so aromatic. There's so many hop flavors and aromas. Yeah. Your brain tells you there's bitterness, but there's not. No. Am I detecting any bitterness in this one? I can't actually detect any, so I'm pretty sure there's none, right? Yeah, there's none.
There's nothing. Okay. I think
there's no hops added above. These are corporate secrets.
Okay.
There's no hops added in the kettle.
No, that's fine. Since Val, you just
and Craig, I know that Valérian just.
Go on. I was about to say because Valérian cracked the gin IPA. Do you want to move? Oh, there he goes. He'll be back in a second. Did you want to?
His phone was ringing.
Yeah, right. His phone was ringing. Been ringing all night.
His wife said, "You took all the IPA with you."
Like, you better bring some home.
Yes.
The wife. We do great beers, but Wi-Fi sucks. That's the thing. That's the problem.
Did you want to jump into the gin IPA? Since
I see times flies, and we have two great beers to talk about. Because with the gin IPA we bring back our ADN, our genetics profile. I'm a gin. I'm a spirit guy and strong alcohol, and it's a niche that we wanted to explore with Amiral. With
Pilsner?
And returning to gin ale, it was
a bit of a cleanser for the
a natural.
All the same.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, Val. Keep talking. I cut you off.
After drinking it and the R&D, we go to the conclusion that it's the best of both worlds. You have the taste of gin, and you have all the aroma and all the tropical notes of the hops. So it's a really good. We could call it gin New England IPA because it's more influenced by the New England style of IPA. But
I was about to ask. Is it like a West Coast, or is it bitter at all, or is it kind of more on the tropical?
It's more on the tropical. It's very
tropical.
Tropical. Okay, sick.
Yeah.
Nice. See, it's not. I feel like it's. Is there less botanicals than the gin ale? Because I feel like I've got to pour it, but
all the same botanicals.
Same volume.
But yes, and added to the hops that we use in the New England IPA. So we share the same hops, and we added some of the hops that we use in the gin ales too.
Okay.
So there's more hops in the the gin IPA than there is in the New England IPA.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's already looking kind of more like the New England. You're right. Like it's not looking that orange color. It's like more of that.
No, it's like in between.
In between. Okay.
And my inspiration was citrus gin. There's a lot of gin. There's a grapefruit gin, citrus, orange, Sevilla orange, like a Beefeater making one, Tanqueray making one. It's now it's a
Okay.
trend.
Yes,
Gin
I've seen that.
have-
Yeah. The Tanqueray. Mm-hmm.
You say there's a citrus notes. Even the SAQ make a good works, and they put la palette des saveurs
Okay. Like the little
on
tasting.
each gin, like they do it. Tasting notes like they do it with wines. They do that with gin. So now you can do that with beer.
Right. So in dépanneurs or in
Yep.
yeah. Oh, Tiffany's like, yeah. She's like, yeah. Let me sip that first.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, loves it. Cheers.
First
fellas.
time you try it? Cheers,
No,
yeah.
I
It's your
just
first time you
checked.
try it? Like,
Not this one. No, I had
Yeah,
this
okay.
one before, but it was granted. It was like October, November, sort of thing. Cheers,
Okay.
fellas.
Okay. Cheers.
The first time for me was the West Coast, and the next beer we're going to do are the two because I guess I didn't get
Okay.
when last time I got it. You guys were still working on the beer. Yeah, see, this is great. You're right. This definitely reminds me of the New England. Looking at the color, this is the West Coast. Yeah,
Yes.
you're right. It's not. It's like a little lighter, but it's probably a little darker than the New England. That's and there's the New England. Yeah, slightly darker, not much though. Interesting. This is really fascinating to see them all because obviously I just had them one at a time. I didn't get to crack all six at once. So this is really interesting to see them all side by side.
We do this every week.
As you should. R&D, right? Quality control.
Yeah, you have to.
So,
So now you're having the best of both worlds.
yes,
This is how we call it, best of both worlds.
I love it.
And
Now-
Vic,
Yes.
anything? Yeah.
Go on.
I was asking Vic if he has anything to add to that beer that we've asked him.
This is
As
nice.
a
No, I
brewer.
think you guys said it all. It's a nice blend of both inspirations. I'd have to say on the production end, it was probably one of the easier beers to do because we didn't have to go out into the market or to find inspiration. We had it here in house. So
Right.
it's okay. Listen, hey, we like this. We like this. What can we do that marries these two styles that we've created, the gin ale and the IPA type of beer, and says let's do something. Yeah, okay, sure. That's doable.
Okay.
When we start
the
talking about
challenge
the
was-
rum ale or the NEIPA, these were difficult beers to produce. The
Right.
gin IPA,
Yeah, the gin
okay, that
IPA.
was
The
good.
challenge was to balance
Yeah,
all the ingredients.
Yeah, it's got the same. I'm just saying here, the same botanicals in both.
Yeah.
The
Which
same.
is
Yes.
right.
But these are the typical botanicals that you use in the making of a dry gin. Let's say
Okay.
by like a Tanqueray, a Beefeater, or a Gordon. It's the typical botanicals that we use to make dry gin.
Gotcha.
Historical.
And it works exceptionally well. Like the tropical fruit, like you said, the citrusy tropical notes of the hops they're basically the same as the New England with addition of Hallertauer, according to the back there.
Yeah.
And then those gin botanicals that just give it that, like, even just burping it up, it's got like such a nice flavor when you're burping it. I love that. And it just,
It's a perfect match.
yeah, like it blends.
What
super
garnish you put on your gin tonic?
Lime.
Lime or citrus, or
Mhm.
sometimes orange or grapefruit. So it's a
All
perfect
those
match.
things.
So like Victor said, it was easy to make it. Just a little challenge to balance all the ingredients to make it very
make it fair.
perfect.
Yeah.
Not
I-
perfect for us, but I hope perfect for all the people. But the sales are good.
That was going to be my next question. Actually, Frederick says, I hate to say it, but the gin IPA has me confused. I don't want to like it more than I love the gin ale. Hey, it's okay, man. It's okay. I actually think I like this even more because it's such a, once again, you guys are really doing the, like particularly this and the gin ale with the botanicals. It's such a unique way to put it all together. and this works.
Yeah.
It's just so smooth, and it's not overwhelming in either direction. It's a little more subtle, I would argue. Is that accurate? Than the gin ale as far as the gin botanicals. Like this is a little, while it's the same one and it's the same volume, maybe that the increased volume of hops kind of balance it out, like what you were saying as well, Valérian, with the citrus. It kind of just all mixes together and kind of tones it slightly down. So there's like, it's almost like the gin ale. It's like you took the gin out and then you took the New England and blended them in the glass. Is kind of what this tastes like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why the
Okay.
the recipe is good. So.
You said that people are liking it. So this was beer number 5. How did people respond to this one? Because it's now a throwback to your first product that you're known for. How were the entrepreneurs and the drinkers? How did that go?
I think that Frédéric's comment, I think, really brings it in. People were liking Gin Ale, and now Gin IPA, I think, was something really interesting. And what about my Gin Ale right now? Which one do I prefer? And in fact, if I stick and if I look to our sales right now, they are both head to head. Gin Ale and Gin IPA are probably the 2 best products that we sell right now, and people are maybe not. If they buy one, I think they'll buy the other one also. So the answer so far, the Gin IPA was really the best. And to be honest, I'll go back, because in our dream, the next beer in line after the Gin Ale was the Gin IPA. We decided to wait to bring the Pils, the IPA, and the NEIPA before, but in our mind, the Gin IPA had to come. It was just to find the proper mix, and we find it with the NEIPA. So honestly, consumer responds pretty well, and in fact, as of now, they are head to head in terms of sales right now.
That's very cool. And it makes sense though, because it's bringing it back, and now people get to have a second beer with that same level of, because I've seen beers with gin stuff in it before, but it's usually quite subtle. It's not this forward. So that now they've got the same people who have made like the original gin ale are coming back with this IPA. They're like, oh wow, this is definitely going to be different. It's like your brand recognition is there, and they've been able to just tie those two together like really easily. Yeah. And there's no way you'd buy, particularly if you'd seen these for the first time, and you're like, well, there's the black can, but then there's the white can. They both have gin, and I like that you've made the black and white too for both of them, which is like perfect.
Yeah, this was made in purpose. I'm a black and white guy, yin and yang.
I think the Gin IPA solidifies the brand. It solidifies Amiral.
Yeah.
It codifies it.
Yeah. I actually agree, and I'm sitting here looking at the 5 cans we've done so far side by side. And one thing I'm big. My partner and I also have a social media agency that we run, so we're always looking at marketing. We're thinking about things like that. And one thing I really love about beer is when they have like the color block. This is burgundy, and then this is green. And if you see them on a shelf, you've got this rainbow of colors with a similar design in the front, and it just like it pops, and you're just like, what's this? And it draws the eye. It's not overly colorful. There's not 17 different colors on here. It's just, and I really think that is, that's great for branding, because you have to stand out now on shelves that are getting busier and busier. Here in Quebec, the scene is really, really, there's a lot of amazing products.
There's a lot of good hard work. Now, beer bottles is not hard. My wife don't like that, but I keep it all. There's so much work of artist, but for me, it's also a business. You have to tell the customer what is the product. So if I show you a Van Gogh on a can, what it tell you? You don't know if it's a beer or if it's a Perrier, a new flavor, something. You don't know. But if it's in the microbrewery area, you believe that's a beer, but you have some time to search what kind of beer. It's very niche, very geek. I respect that. It's kind of work, but for us, I want to hit mainstream. I want to make accessible product. I want to join everybody on all the planet, all the culture. You drink beer, try mine. It's good. So let's discuss. let's try and to make evolve the scenery, and that's why we evolve in the making the new beer, and I bring it the rum ale.
Boom, the brand new one. Look at him.
Are we ready
You
for
see-
that? Are we really?
Are you
you
ready for
ready?
that?
We-
Are you ready for that?
I'm scared, but if you guys say go,
We
then we go.
challenge ourselves with this one.
Right.
We
Yeah.
really challenge
Sit
ourselves.
back, relax.
Get the-
Yeah.
Enjoy
It
the
depends,
show.
Craig. It's
So-
about 3 to 10.
Yeah.
So it's your call. It's 3 to 10. So if you want us to go a bit later on, it's your call. We'll follow. But
We can
But
crack
you have
them all
to taste
now
the rum
because we can just go between all the beers. It's no problem. I'm down. Let's
Okay.
do it. You want to grab the last one? Thank you. So I was gonna ask then. Actually, you know what? Talk about the rum ale. Then I want to come back to the branding because I didn't get to ask about the branding. I
Correct.
want to make
Yep,
sure we
yep.
talk. But then tell us about this rum ale. So this was your latest beer, and this came out in November, I believe. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
no,
Yes,
December.
exactly.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Just
December
before Christmas.
2020. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, for Christmas.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And so my understanding, this is 7.3%. Is this it's a rum ale, but it's like what people would know as a Scotch ale, but a rum
Yes.
version. Is that right? No. I see Victor shaking his head.
No.
No.
It's not. Yes,
Uh,
please
but-
correct me
but-
because that was my assumption, but I'd love to know.
There's similitude because it's a sweet, strong beer.
Mhm.
It's there's no bitterness, not too much bitterness in this.
Okay.
But we wanted to challenge ourselves to say, what is a rum?
Okay.
It's made for sugar cane.
Yes.
So let's use molasses from sugar cane.
Okay. Yeah.
And
color. Nice.
what do you add some to taste it like a rum, and instead of putting rum in the beer, we're gonna use the spice that we use in the spice rum. So we use vanilla,
Yep.
clove. Help me, Victor. We,
Cinnamon.
use cinnamon,
Yeah.
and nutmeg,
Okay.
muscad.
Okay.
So this was difficult to balance the right amount of sugar and the right amount of spice, the right amount of vanilla, but vanilla very strong. And we use good ingredients. We don't have to put a lot of ingredient,
Okay.
but it's, to reach the perfect balance, it was really difficult.
Okay. So
So it's
yeah, talk to me.
Go ahead, Craig.
No, I was going to say, can you just break it down a little bit? So that's the ingredients. So if you were trying to describe this to somebody, or what were you trying to achieve with this specific beer?
The Christmas
For
beer.
Victor. Victor,
Christmas
go ahead,
It's
Victor.
yeah. I was going to say that it's a very
Okay.
warm beer, a warming beer. You've
Okay.
got the high alcohol. You're not drinking many of these.
No.
And sort of like with the rum, the spice rum experience, you're going to linger with it. You're going to stay with it. This beer is sort of designed. It's not a quick, fast, quenching beer.
Right.
You're going to sit with it and enjoy it. The alcohol content demands this. It's 7.3%. You have this sweet sensation. It's a dry beer, but you have these flavor contours that are reminiscent of sweet, and that this is coming from the molasses. It's fermented with molasses.
Okay.
You have this liquoring experience that the spiced rum flavors are contributing.
Okay.
It's not a balanced beer. This is an eventful wow moment. You have to imagine that you're next to a fire in a warm setting, and you're sipping this beer. It's a sipping beer.
Okay. So it's supposed to be.
But I've been to Jamaica a few times, and I can imagine myself being sit on the beach near the bar and drinking rum,
Uh,
ale under the sun.
So
Yeah.
when we were developing this beer, we got our favorite spiced rums,
Okay.
and we went with the
Yes.
nose. We said, okay, this is the nose that we're trying to copy. We want this aroma, and when we created it, we got we went back to those rums and we compared. Say yes, we got it. blindfolded, if you smelt this rum ale, you'd say, yeah, you're smelling spiced rum.
Gotcha. Which I'm definitely getting.
And when you're tasting it, you have this, yeah. And so this is a nice way to end the series.
I like
this
it.
Blast.
It also just hit me as well. Like you've sort of, because this seems to be a style that's not really existing. Again, just like the gin ale. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
Right.
Correct.
So you guys do it your own way, right? I love that. You guys just like come up with something. I mean, that's fascinating. That doesn't happen too often. I would say, like it's not like many breweries just make shit up and do their own, kind of style here. This is like, I don't think I've had anything like this before. Like it's hard to even like comprehend how to approach it, which is an interesting feeling. You know what I'm saying? Because you're trying this beer, I'm like, what? You look for a frame of reference. That's why I'm saying, okay, so what is it? Is it supposed to be a Scotch ale? Is it like, what is this? And I'm like, and then you don't really have that. You're like, I'm inspired by rum, and I want it to feel like a bunch of. I'm like, fuck, all right, okay. Yeah. And it's like, you got to soak up this information. Cool.
Intentionally, not too much carbonation. We didn't want the carbonation to burn the tongue. We want it to be smooth, milky, warm, loving.
I absolutely get that. Yes. Okay. So specifically made as a Christmas kind of holiday beer. Obviously, bless you. The weather hasn't changed, so it's still the perfect time for this a boozier. I mean, at least 7.3. This is the strongest in your lineup. Is that correct?
Yep. That is correct. Yep. You're right.
So it's man, this is such a unique experience. This is really interesting. This is cool, guys. And even just those type of spices, like it's you've just continually created something that's just so unique. It's
and for me, working as in a bar and a cocktail, and I have a lot of barmen working in my my pub and my bar, because I own 3 pubs, 2 pubs and 1 bar, and j'ai vraiment hâte. I'm very impatient to see the reopening of all my establishment to experiment this as a cocktail beer, because we can use beer now in cocktails and make them bring it at the next levels. And imagination is the only limit you have.
Yeah. What would you
stuck yourself at this?
Yeah. What would you think?
You can add what?
Yeah, I was just like, as soon as you said cocktail beer, I was like, this makes more sense to me now. This feels like something that's perfect for a cocktail. That is genius. What would you What would you do?
I use two cans to make a pitcher like a sangria, but instead of using wine, I use rum ale and put fruit juice and fruit in it, or I don't know what kind of cocktail. Maybe a beer mojito with it, something with more mint and instead of using
Man, that's just so fascinating. I don't know. It's like, it's so nice to have an experience in beer when you've sort of had all different type of stuff, and then you have something, and I'm like almost stumped. I'm like, what is this? What am I dealing with here? It's like, it's very cool to try and understand this almost new, unique type of beer that's not doing anything but being its own thing. I appreciate that the way you guys approach this beer. It's very, very cool and very different at a time when most people don't really want to be too different. It's great. I really like it.
Yes.
Big ups. Frederick is saying, my best day of 2020. I had the chance to get my first taste of the rum ale with Victor and JF. Thank you for dessert, guys.
Cheers. It's nice.
Bro. And James is saying 4 pirates. It
is.
So speaking of
it's a treasure.
Yeah. So your branding.
That's why.
Go for it, man. Go for it. Yeah. Tell us about the branding then. Talk to me.
That's why we use a boat for every kind of beer, and we try to match the boat that fits right to the beer.
Okay.
In that case, it was a no-brainer that we use a boat like the Pirate of Caribbean pirate boat that he with a big the big voile.
Oh,
saying
sales,
English,
sales.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
a no-brainer, and
Was that-
every boat is
That's
the
this one. Yeah, there's all different
the,
boats. I just noticed they're all different.
we start with a cargo that for the Gin Ale, because my inspiration was every ingredient that you use to make a gin came from all of the planet. Let's say the clou de giraffe, the cloves came from Indonesia. The juniper berries come from Sicily or East Europe, and the citrus came from Spain, and
Yes,
other
Pilsner.
spice came from. So everything came from both, and the avid drinker of gin was a sailor.
Wow.
So, and where
the
you get
IPA
good pub, it's in dans les ports.
Okay. And
It's
this
the port harbor.
yeah.
Every continent, every city has an harbor, and when you find good bars, it's there. So for me, it was
Okay.
a good call to use all the code from nautical, marine, and the lifesavers was a thing to sécurisant. It's a security thing, so you get the
New England now.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
So that's
and now New
that's
England.
the rowing boat that you would find in Boston.
That was
New
correct.
England,
Yeah.
Yale,
Yeah, New-
Boston.
Yo, why the
Boston
plane?
are-
Why is there a plane on this one?
Because you have some lakes that you cannot go there
Completely.
autrement
through
que
the
par
way.
plane. So if
Gotcha.
you want to go plane, but it's a plane that goes on lakes.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah, of course, a seaplane. All right. And then this is like a
Yeah,
It's
see
almost
that.
like a James Bond type of boat.
James Bond, like a speedboat or something.
Yeah, because
That's
it's
that
a
James
speedboat,
Bond
but it's a
speedboat
vintage
from
one.
The Spy Who Loved Me.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's so funny.
Because James Bond was a gin drinker. Her martini was not with vodka, but gin.
It was a gin one. Okay, so that makes sense for that. And then, of course, the pirate, because pirates drink rum, spiced rum, traveling around the world.
The Pilsner is easy drinking beer, so we have un petit voilier.
Yeah, like a sailboat. I don't know what you call that.
Yeah, because Pilsner is from a lake in Czechoslovakia. That you don't have motor boat, you have a wind boat.
These,
How would you call it?
Yeah, like a sailboat is all I could think of.
Exactly.
Okay, so all the individual parts of the label are really thought through to tie into the beer and the theme and what's in the can and stuff. That's dope.
That's correct.
We try to.
Content, yeah.
Yeah,
Concept.
that's
Too
fascinating.
many thinking.
Never too much thinking. No, I really think that's super cool. And on top of that, you got the color blocking. Now, you said, Victor, you just mentioned before that this is like the last beer in the series. Does that mean that this specific series that'll be it of these, and you just repeat these 6? Are there going to be different other things that you guys are doing, or is that too much of a deep question for now?
No, it's not. It's not too deep. We're working on some new developments.
Wonderful.
In the same theme. I can't divulge, of course, but something very interesting is coming this spring. Again, out of the box. Wow. Yeah.
Okay, I love it.
I think that's. Yeah, always with the botanical theme, but yeah.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
Everybody
To be continued.
Okay.
Our goal is to bring the fun that we have to make the beer to the people the same to drink it. Je sais pas si ça se dit comme il faut, mais on veut que les gens aient autant de fun à boire nos bières qu'on en a à les faire.
Beauty. So then that makes complete sense. So then with these 6, are they going to be continually available, or are some of these, limited time? Like, say, for example, this is a holiday beer. Will it just come back in holidays? Like, what's the thinking around all of that?
As of now,
Oh, I
the
think
6 beers that we have will be there on a permanent basis.
Okay.
That's what we have in our mind. Will we have special beer, a special time?
Mhm.
Yep, it might happen. As of now, the 6 beers that we had tonight are going to be there, unless consumers decided not for us to have. But if not, we do believe that these 6 beers are there on a permanent
Permanently.
basis.
Okay, that's great.
Yep.
I love
Permanently,
that.
Yep.
Even the even the rum ale during like summertime and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, because it can still work.
You know
like
what?
you were saying, Jamaica, right?
That's a good question. Yeah, but in our mind, it could be a 12-month period. Yeah, that's what we think. Hey, and I have a question for you, Craig.
Yeah,
You
man.
spoke about Ontario, else of Canada. Which of our beers would you say would have a good chance to hit the market out of Quebec?
Probably him. Because this now I've had all 6 back to back, and like I said, 2 of these for the first time. I would say that my favorite would be this and this. This because sorry, I'm saying this like I forget that we have audio listeners. I'm saying the Gin IPA, the white can, would be one that would probably do well in Canada because it has a best of both worlds. It has more gin botanicals than any other real gin beer that you would try. It's super authentic because of the background of of Valérian's pubs and all that type of stuff. But it also has the softness and the fruitiness of the New England, which is also fantastic. But this, I think you would have better luck out of province with this beer because it stands out in the market more. And this was the green one, which is the West Coast IPA, was my other favorite, but that was because I really don't drink that style enough, and whenever I have a West Coast IPA, I'm always pleasantly surprised. I'm like, man, I gotta drink these damn things more, So, like, that was the one I had the strongest reaction to until I had this one. So, aside from the gin, like, dead serious, I remember when I had the gin ale, I got the bottle. So I remember I spoke to someone in the company who sent me out some bottles in 2017, which was I'm very excited to try that because this was all that was you. You're the man. And I remember people. I had friends. I specifically remember my friend in Detroit was asking me for it. I think when I went down there, I brought some for him specifically. It was a beer that, like, when I was trading, and I was super new to trading Quebec beers for Ontario, we were going there a lot, so I'd either post them to people or bring them out. And people were specifically requesting the gin ale because it blew people's minds. The beer is just it's so unique, and it's such a great product that there's not anything like it. If you bring that to somewhere else, it's not like they can go to the next brewery and get a beer just like it. That's the thing. The New England, you can get this. This is a great beer, and it's a great, you know what I'm saying? But you can go to any brewery and get a New England IPA, but you cannot get a gin ale, and you cannot get a gin IPA. I think for market penetration, you guys would definitely benefit from that, and I think there would be genuine interest because I was saying to a few people recently, and tell me what you guys think of this. In Quebec, Montreal, we're very blessed, right? We live, 2 hours from Ottawa, 2.5 hours from Quebec City, 5.5 from Toronto, 2 hours from Burlington, Vermont. I think Montreal is one of the best situated cities in Canada as far as access, say beer alone. I mean, obviously the beauty of all these places, but say just beer. All the best beer, I think, is in all of these places. Now that a lot of Quebec folks, they would drink a lot of local beer, and then they would go to Vermont once a month, whatever, and go and buy a Vermont beer. Now you can't do that. So where are they looking to get beer that they can definitely still get? I think they're looking at Ontario, and I think Ontario is looking at us. So I think there is a large opportunity now for breweries to tap into each of the province, both Ontario to here and Quebec breweries into Ontario drinkers, because it's exciting, it's accessible to a degree. They could trade with somebody when it's a little safer, say over the summer. I imagine the US border will still be closed. Driving to BC is hella far. Driving to Halifax is still 18, 20 hours. But that 5.5 hour thing straight to Toronto, Montreal, it's doable and people will be searching out products like this. So I think if you put one beer into, say, the LCBO or something like that, this one would get people being like,
this one would be.
what else did they do? What did you guys think you would do if you would expand? Which
Thanks,
beer?
Good
Thanks for
question.
the.
No problem. Which beer do you guys? Which beer would you guys have thought would do the best?
Oh,
No,
it's a
which
good question,
Interesting. Thanks.
Yeah,
but definitely some of the niche that we have, Gin Ale, Gin IPA, and now the Rum Ale.
yeah,
These are very unique, and I think if we bring a New England IPA in Vermont, it's we have a lot to compete.
you can get it.
the-
Everywhere has them, right? It's not
Sure.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you're right.
Yeah.
And Boreal did a great job with the Nord-Est, and now we got a lot of breweries from Quebec that specialize, Messorem, Bas-Canada, pour pas les nommer, Cinquième Baron. There's a lot of breweries that make very, very good New England IPA. So I think it's important to find something that makes you unique and try to evolve and constantly challenge yourself to make something better and reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
Don't be. It take a lot of humility to try something new and to bring it to market and wait till the client still to rebuy it.
Yeah.
It's easy to draw something and brew something to put it in the can, but if the clients don't rebuy it, see,
Yeah.
they decide.
Yeah, that's true. Frederick is saying the gin ale. I guess he's saying that in response to which beer should go out.
Of course.
I mean, I feel like I don't think you could go wrong with either of them. It's almost like you could start with the gin ale, then follow that up nicely with the gin IPA, and then they would search out the rest, and they'd have to come here to get them, which is great. Are you guys actually considering doing that and looking into getting stuff outside of Quebec?
The can is ready.
Sure.
It's fully bilingual. It's ready to export. And in fact, to be honest with you, Craig, we're having fun doing it, but in our mind, our can are really ready to go anywhere out of Quebec. So the question is where and which one should we start with? That's why I was asking the question. I know you had great contacts. You had a lot of discussion. Is it north of United States? Is it Ontario? Which one of our beer could have a potential? So we are really humble. Honestly, we're having fun. We are humble, but in our mind, could we export? That would be our dream. That's for sure.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that. One thing, the problem with Canada's laws is that it's not easy to get beers from other provinces around Quebec being particularly difficult as well. So I think there's a lot of value in that pipeline opening up, even if it's just a few little things in each province, just to give each drinker more. Beer tourism's a real thing. People travel for beer.
Yes.
I'm sure you guys do it. We
Yeah.
do it. I miss it terribly, but it's the next best thing is if I live in Toronto and I can go to the LCBO and pick up a gin IPA. I mean, I'm like, as soon as this is over, I'm going to Montreal, man. I can't wait. I think that it inspires people to do something. I hear that there's a company, if you've not heard of them, they're called Untapped. Not the app, but there's a company called Untapped. It's based out of Vancouver. Yeah. They do a lot of importing from the East. We don't really have anything like that here, even in Ontario or in Quebec, that's bringing West Coast beer out here. And they're super fortunate because they come out and they bring a bunch of beer. So it might even be worth talking to them because the West Coast market probably hasn't had anything like this. Whether it's Alberta or BC, I think that would be interesting as well. I imagine these beers travel pretty well, particularly the gin ale. Maybe not the IPA; might be a little more precious because it's based on the New England. But I think there's definitely potential, man. I just love to see it. That's exciting for me to hear that you guys are considering that because a lot of breweries don't want to. A lot of breweries just are happy serving the local market and
it's okay.
It's totally okay.
Yeah.
Everyone has their different goals.
We know some Gaspésian brewery that satisfied with à l'échelle humaine. I don't know how to translate it,
Yeah.
but it's
Or
you
go
don't
their
want
own
to
path.
expand itself.
Yeah.
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 Everything you want to control everything and it's okay with that. But
we want to be good.
But in the beginning, Gin was a goal for us to bring it all the world.
Amazing. I feel like that's something that could really work. Yeah, go on, Jeff. Sorry, man.
No. You're again. We want to be good in Quebec first. That was our goal, to be really recognized and make the best we can in Quebec, because we're all from Quebec. We're all based from Quebec. If we could make it happen and to export, that would be more than happy, and we are ready for that. But the first thing is, let's make sure we do a great job servicing our consumer in Quebec. That's our first really priority right now. But if we can really export, would be more than open, and we've prepared our brand to be ready to export. So that's a goal for the company. That being said, having fun doing it, being with people that we like, and having this kind of relationship that we have right now, honestly, I think it's a great. It's 3 years for a company. We are a young company right now, and we're having great time. Having great feedbacks like you just gave to ourselves is something we need right now. So we are really humble, trying to get these feedback, and if we can make it happen, we're ready to make it happen.
I love it.
Yes.
Man. It's very cool. Another quick thought that came to mind. I'm from Melbourne, Australia, and last time I went back to Melbourne, there's a big gin. Like there's a lot of local gins out there, some really fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
I remember we went to a gin bar, and it was the closest place I'd ever been to Le Poirier, because they had the way they had like 250 different gins, same type of thing. So I think that even that market out there, the consumers would love something like this. It's a very fun beer market out there as well. Just you probably didn't even think about it, but just because I'm from there and I've seen what they're into, so there's a lot of potential for everything you guys are doing. I think it's fantastic. It's just such an interesting thing, and I was really happy to see that this one beer turned into 6, like quick. Because I felt like I just blinked, and all of a sudden you had 6 beers. Because to be honest, I didn't really see the others until I saw them all at once. I saw the first 5, and then I saw the rum come afterwards. So I was like, "Wow, this is crazy. What happened here?" I think this is fantastic. It sounds like you guys are all super passionate, super talented, and super dedicated. And mate, I love to see it. I think it's a beautiful thing. Fred has a comment, and then we can get to the wrapping up. Fred says, "For fun, I don't want to pay $15 for one Molson at the Bell Centre or even Scotiabank Arena in Toronto when you had the chance to drink real beer. Keep up your hard work, boys. I love it." This has been really good, guys. It's been really interesting, like I said, to try them all side by side and to get all the different perspectives of you guys. You built a great team. It's I'm super happy for you. I really hope that this continues to just be successful and dominate, and just keep getting it all out there. So I really appreciate it. Where do we see this going in the next sort of year or so? What can people look forward to next? I guess we probably can't really say the next beer, but there's more stuff coming.
We hope that the next year we'll bring you at our pub and make the next pubcast
in person.
Pubcast.
Yes, pubcast.
We're gonna rebranding pubcast.
The pubcast. That's the new one. Yes,
Amiral pubcast.
I love that. I'm so down, man. Like I missed that. Sorry, Victor, go for it.
So I'm just gonna say the next year is going to be about COVID-19. Getting through this.
Yeah.
The way we're doing it in isolation with distancing. So how will it look like next year? Hopefully, we'll be in the same room doing this podcast together. And drinking the beer.
I would love that.
Yes,
this is fine. This is cool. It's the next best thing. It keeps it going. But yes, it's nothing like sitting all together and actually chatting, looking each other in the eyes. It's a nicer experience. But this is we keep it moving this way. Yeah. Go.
Make a real cheers.
Yes, exactly. Make a real one instead of this like hitting a damn camera. Do you know what we have to do? We have to do the thumbnail for YouTube. So, do you want to hold up some cans?
Okay.
And I'm going to take a screenshot of the... Oops. I'm going to take a screenshot of the call here. There we go. I'm going to go like that. Okay. Sorry, podcast folks. You know how we go? Yeah, hold them up. There we go. And you got to make a stupid face. As you go down. That's my go-to. Just wait. Is it? There we go. You ready? Oh, you got them all.
You got them all.
Boom. I got it. Yes, look at that.
Good?
Yep, got him. That's beautiful. Boys, that was a lot of fun. I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate the effort you went to all be in the brewery and stuff. It's very, very cool. Where can all
Thank you,
the
Craig.
people... Oh, you're so welcome. Where can everybody find Amiral online?
Hey, that's a good question.
that's a Natasha question. Where is she?
Everywhere.
No,
On the
Greg,
website?
honestly, yeah. Just going back.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for your time. Thanks a lot for your great question. Just
Pleasure.
for the time that you gave ourselves tonight to get Valérian time to speak about our product. It's an amazing time for us. We really appreciate. Again, thanks so much. We might write you back for some question and some feedback because you have so much knowledge about products and stuff happening in Canada and up North America. So honestly, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate that opportunity.
You're so welcome. Anytime, if you ever have any questions, we're on the email. We can talk. Just hit me up. I'm right here. More than happy. You guys are all really cool. You guys made this a lot of fun. You guys are great dudes. Sorry, Vic, what were you saying?
No, I was going to add to JF's sentiment. If ever you're in the St. Hyacinthe area, come knock on the door. You're always welcome here.
That's amazing.
Yep.
I'd love to see the place. I'd love to, I want to come by there. I want to come by the pub as well because I haven't been, obviously, in quite a while. But I just love, I wish you guys more success. It's a beautiful thing. Oh, get the selfie. He's getting it.
Go ahead. Yeah.
You got it? Yeah, I love it. Guys, thank you. Let me check exactly what it is online. I think to follow you guys, it's Amiral.
BrasserieAmiral.com.
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 And
That's
Brasserie
correct,
Amiral on Instagram. Everybody's jumping in. Helen saying, great podcast. Thank you, gents. Love it. Liquid Happiness, great episode. Thank you. Veronique, that was so interesting. Thank you, guys. It was great. I just love having all of this knowledge at once. This is really cool. I really appreciate you guys. You guys are super fun. Stay on the call and we'll say bye once I wrap it up for the live because we can still talk after for a sec. So everybody, thank you so much for listening and watching. If you enjoyed the episode, smash the thumbs up, hit subscribe below, hit the notification bell so you know when every new video drops. Follow us on social media at BAOS Podcast, and we will see you next Friday, probably 8 or 9 p.m., something like that. Stay tuned to social. Get it in, Boom. All right, live people, thank you very much. Frederick saying my first podcast, thank you very much. Frederick, thank you so much for coming by. Isabel, thanks, can't wait for the next beer. Neither can I. Everybody else who were commenting, thank you, appreciate you guys. You guys made it awesome. You had some really good questions. Ashley, everyone. Boys, hang on and we'll wrap it up. But everybody else, we'll see you next week. Peace.